G'day punters, Kenny here. These are my epic adventures. Today, part 3 in the AB60 auto transmission conversion. Doing a bit of towing with the AOR matrix, probably about 2.45 tonnes I reckon. Taking it up to Agnes Water, probably about 130 k's away. Give you a bit of vision on shift changes on the way up. And at the end there I'll give you a bit of information about fuel consumption. Towing, and right at the very end some candid thoughts on my experience with wholesale automatic transmissions. And now let's get into it, eh?
Becomes the potential difficult bit.
Electric track in 5 minutes. On the Pasco River. One issue I think that probably be handy to know, maybe, when setting up the CompuShift for the 79 series, they do a file based upon the information you give them, including tyre size. The booklet, and I'll show you that shortly, talks about measuring from the centre of the wheel to the ground and multiplying that by 2 and inserting or inputting that into the CompuShift. And I'm going to show you that on the app that we've got. Okay, I've got the app open here now. Need to have the car on. Vehicle setup. And you'll see that it has tyre diameter there in American writing, 80 centimetres. When it was set up originally it was 76 centimetres. I had a discussion with a tech support person from Wholesale Automatic Transmissions, because I noticed that when you're in the dashboard and it gives the vehicle speed, that was inconsistent with my GPS speedo and that I have with my OBD2 scanner. And he said that it's important that they match up, particularly at 60 and 100 kilometers an hour. So I played with it until I got to the 80 centimeters. So I went from 76 to 80 centimeters, and the speed difference at 60, 80 and 100 is just about negligible. It's pretty close to being the same. Apparently that affects the shift in the transmission. Page 6 of the book, changing tyre size, and it says it there, you know, the CompuShift relies heavily on the tyre size being correct for all shift calculations. Changing the tyre size and the measurement there, say the centre of the wheel to the ground, and then double it. So that's in the book. Not sure if I've mentioned this before. I certainly talked about it. The temperature for the transmission, 50 to 110 degrees. Highest I've had it's about 95 at the moment. So we're going to see tomorrow with the caravan on the back. See how it goes, eh? Just filled up. Driving up to Agnes Water. It's about 130 k's north of here. Been requested to do a bit of vision of the shifts as well, so I'll try and do a bit of that. You're not going to be able to feel the shifts, obviously, because it's video. But anyhow, try and talk you through it, eh? Rightio, here we go. We're in first gear. Range temps 84 degrees. Second. Third. Fourth. Range temps 86. Doing about 58, which is alright. Cruise control on. Fifth gear. Still fifth gear. Torque converter lockup is not on. And we're just in auto, we're not in sports mode. There you go again, eh? Bit more throttle that time. At 60. Cruise control on. slow in front of us. Trans temp 89, 5th gear, torque converter lock up off. There's a turn right heading up towards Agnes 1770, 60k zone. Throw the cruise control on, it's set at 60 at the moment. It's going to be 80 up here shortly. Transmission temperature 96, that's as hot as I've ever had it. Coolant temperature 86, 87, that's sort of okay. Ambient, well, intake temperature 37, ambient temperature 33, so that's probably just a smidge hotter than it used to be. 100 k's an hour now, speed limit. Torque converter lockups on, and 5th gear. Trans temp 97, doing 98, 99, reset the cruise control. Now, ordinarily I probably wouldn't tow this fast unless I was on a highway, freeway or something like that, where the speed zone was 110. Speed 98, trans temp 97, coolant temp 94. That's a bit hotter than usual. Intake 37, so that's staying pretty consistent. 38 now. 6th gear, torque converter lock up on. Engine speed about 1500 RPM. Ground speed about 99. Coolant 93. Intake 38. Ambient still 33. Trans temp 98, and we're in 5th lockup at the moment. Something else I've noticed when you're in full auto, not in sports mode, I only see lockup in 5th and 6th. Well, we're over halfway to Agnes now, coming up to a little bit of a hilly spot. There's one medium sort of little hilly spot coming up. Previously towing in with the manual, probably be back in 4th, maybe drop back to about 80 kilometres an hour. To date, it's been sort of holding on 5th lockup, even dropping back to, you know, about 70 kilometres an hour, which dropped the engine RPM down to about 1350, which is probably really at the beginning of my torque curve with this tune. Probably been nice to drop back to 4th there, but just holding back. I've taken it out of cruise control. Found that, as I mentioned previously, it sees a hill and to drop it back. When it does that, it knocks the boost up as well, up to about 18-20 pounds. The EGT's got 400, and that's probably the same as with the manual as well. When the cruise control was on, I found it more efficient. Driving without the cruise control, trying to keep the boost below 10 pounds. So I found that more efficient and more effective keeping the EGTs. The EGTs have been sitting at about 350, 360 maybe. Transmission temperature did get up to 100 at one stage there when the cruise control was on, and had the coolant temperature up to about 96. Intake temperature stayed pretty consistent, 37, 38, about 5 or 6 degrees hotter than ambient. And so I think I've mentioned, we're at 6th now, torque converter on. It's the second time. Predominantly holding in 5th with the torque converter lockup. We're doing 102 now. A little bit more of this flat stuff and we'll come up to a hill. Again, cruise control isn't on, and I'm going to try and keep the boost below 10 pounds, certainly not more than 15. Just monitor the EGTs and the transmission temperature. Sitting at 26, 5th gear at the moment, lockup's on. Into 6th, back into 5th, lockup off. I've got boosted at about 15 pounds. There's this rise coming up. If you look. Fifth gear, torque converter lock up on, trans temp 97, boost about 15 pounds, EGT's about 370, drop in speed about 78, 75, still in fifth gear, kicked back to fourth then, torque converter off, just seems to hold on to fifth a little bit too long. EGT's just about 400, boost still about 17, transmission temperature 98. Coolant temperature 94. It's got a bit of throttle there, about 47-48% throttle. Still about 15 pounds boost. Well, that's the top of the rise, taking a foot off the accelerator now. Fifth gear, torque converter lock up on, coolant 97. Trans temp 99. Let's see, we're doing 103, or if in Australia that's 100. We're in sixth gear at the moment. Fifth gear, torque converter lock up off. About 10 pounds boost, 15 pounds boost. AGT's back up to 350. Trans temp 97. Sixth gear going down this descent. About 2 or 3 pounds boost. About 320 EGT. Coolant 88. Trans temper 97. Sixth gear torque converter lock up on. That'll be it, eh? Keep you my thoughts when we get up to Agnes. Just waiting to check in. Well, the boss has gone in there to check in. Some preliminary thoughts, I suppose. It's probably, I think, initial thoughts are it's pretty comparable to manual towing the caravan. The EGTs are surprisingly a little bit cooler, I reckon, but I'm not sure that that's really got anything to do with the auto. It may be something more to do with the new high flow turbo than anything else. Coolant gets a little bit hotter faster. Probably the last 10 or 15 Ks, I actually had the cruise control on. I had it set to about 93 kilometers an hour. And the coolant was sitting between 86 to 90, nice. We're sitting on about 1750 RPM. We're in fifth gear of torque converter lockup. Transmission temperature is about 92. EGTs were sitting between 300 and 350, which is really cool. And boost wasn't generally getting up above 10 pounds. So that must be a nice little sweet spot, I reckon. Be interesting to see how it travels in sports mode, I suppose, with the lockup selected when towing. I haven't done any fuel yet. We've only travelled about 120 odd Ks, so it's not that far, but I'm going to fill up at some stage while we're here just to get that preliminary fuel consumption, and I'll put it in here, eh? Fuel consumption now, towing the AOR matrix up to Agnes Water, so a little bit of boring and some statistics here. I've got some history on towing with the manual, so we'll have a look at that shortly, but there's a little bit of inconsistency in fuel consumption between going up and coming back, and I think that's on reflection, because I probably didn't fill up the fuel tank properly on the way up. But anyhow, here are the numbers. 130.5 kilometres to Agnes. Used 24.92 litres of fuel. My calculations, 5.24 kilometres a litre, or 19.08 litres per 100 kilometres. It's a bit, eh? Return trip, 123.12 kilometres, 22.8 litres used, 5.4 kilometres a litre, better consumption, and 18.52 litres over 100 kilometres, again better consumption. Difference in distances because we filled up at different places. Overall, so I averaged it, 251.3 kilometres, 47.72 litres consumed, 5.27 kilometres a litre, or 18.98 litres per 100 kilometres. very short range sort of calculations. As say 251 kilometres is something I'd probably like to do an estimate on over a couple of thousand kilometres. And the road up to Agnes is a bit windy and stuff. It's probably going to be typical for high country and certainly Tasmania later this year anyhow. Now let's look at see what sort of figures I was getting in before with manual towing the Matrix. This was a trip done earlier this year up to, or probably late last year, up to just north of Cairns. We did 2,667.3 kilometres towing the Matrix. Used 454.3 litres, averaged 5.87 kilometres a litre, or 17.04 litres per 100 kilometres. We did a little bit of windy stuff there. Yeah, we certainly did around the back of Townsville and north of Townsville as well. How does that compare with the averaged figures from Agnes just recently? 5.27 kilometres for the Agnes, 5.87 with the manual. So there's about a 0.6 of a litre difference. Or the average 17.04 litres a 100, or 18.98 litres per 100 for Agnes. So it's almost over 100 kilometres, almost 2 litres more, almost. As I say, the trip to Agnes was probably a very short sort of estimate. This really ends the videos on the AB60, and though I say that with hesitation because I am going to do some mods to the cooling system, the oil cooling system, to try and bring those temperatures down, only because I'm a bit worried a little bit later this year around high country and Tasmania towing, especially at lower speeds. I think I'm going to put a bigger pan on it, available from Wholesale Automatics. I think it's about 800 and something bucks, 2.5 litre greater capacity, and I'm certainly going to change that tube and fin cooler to a bar and fin cooler up the front as well, and I mentioned a bit about that in the previous video. To see how that goes. If you're interested in this sort of conversion and Wholesale automatic transmissions aren't fitting it for you, or even if they are fitting it for you, I suppose, try and tie them down on a supply and fitment date. You might be a little bit disappointed like I was with the lead time. Instead of being 3 months, it's turned out to be pressing 6 months. It's not been the best experience, really, it hasn't. I ordered the kit back in August. I was initially told it was going to be supplied in November, hoping for a fit up in December. Then I was told it was delayed till December, so I said okay, worked around other dates, and I said, oh, let's fit it up in January, and it was booked in for the 22nd of January. I happened to drop into the local fit out store, which is DifTrans Australia, which I've mentioned previously, to drop off the new transfer case, and he said the kit hadn't arrived, so I rang up Wholesale Automatic Transmissions and I saw there's been a delay. So they say that they'd spoken to DifTrans, but nobody had spoken to me, and in the interim Miss Boss and I had organised car hire, organised some interstate transport around not having a car as well, so that wouldn't inconveniences. But now it's just been a shit fight, frankly. Lovely. Slow down, she's scared. G'day punters, coming to you from Lorella Station. I was tying this out, and that's all that was left of it.